Certainly pleased with our effort this past weekend. I thought in both games early in the first period we established a high level of energy. Our compete level was really high, and scoring early in both games obviously helps out, and very pleased with all different areas that you look at from a coaching standpoint. So a good opportunity this weekend. Having faced Ohio State not too long ago, so it should be, again, another competitive game. The nice part about this time of season is both teams, if you win, you get the game the next day. If not, you come home. So that's the fun part of this season, the playoffs, and certainly where we're at right now.
Mark, I'd imagine your players aren't lacking for motivation seeing Ohio State on the other side on Saturday. How do you kind of use that in the right way and kind of keep them going the way you want them and not get too amped up or anything like that?
Well, there'll be different things we'll talk about in the next couple of days. The big thing for us is, what can we do to, win the hockey game on Saturday afternoon? And so we'll look at those. We'll address them. Obviously, having played them not too long ago, playing in a couple of ties, losing both in the shootouts, it's especially at home, those things sting a little bit, and, you put it in the back of your mind. But more importantly, build on what we did this past weekend. I thought we did some things this weekend we hadn't done in maybe the last couple of weekends. And so try to build off it. Like I say, the energy, the excitement in the locker room prior to the game, those are good things to have right now, and hopefully we'll come out with that same type of excitement Saturday afternoon. The big thing is, what can we do to win the game? And so we'll look at a couple of those things and address them and try to execute those.
Do you like playing that same Ohio State team quickly again after 2 weekends ago, having that apples-to-apples comparison on what the team's worked on and improved on in the last 2 weeks?
If we had won both games here, or, we lose both games in regulation, you win one, you tie one. I mean, you can pick some things out of each of those games depending on the outcome, but most important thing is, what happened Saturday afternoon when they dropped the puck. The games that we had here or down there are meaningless. The most important thing is what's out in front of you. And so having played well this weekend, having scored a bunch of goals, if I'm a player, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And so from a coaching standpoint, you want your players with that mindset. And the most important thing is, to win Saturday, and then you get an opportunity to play for another trophy. And then, 8 more teams get to move on after Sunday's contest. So it's a fun couple of weeks. It's a 2-week tournament. I address it. We've gone through the first hurdle where we beat St. Cloud in a couple games, and now we have the right to play Ohio State, and it should be a good matchup. I mean, most teams at this time of the year are playing their best hockey, and so the hard part is, the team that wins is excited to go play for a championship. The team that loses has to come home, and so it's a good learning opportunity for our team, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Obviously, Annie with a hat trick on Saturday. It seems like she's been more in control offensively of the play and of everything that you guys are doing this year, even if it hasn't shown up as much on the stat sheet relative to other years. Do you think she's reached sort of a higher level of control and comfort?
I thought she played extremely well, actually, the last few weekends. In the Ohio State series, I think each night she had 10 shots on net. The goalie obviously played well for Ohio State. This past weekend, again, she had quite a few scoring opportunities, capitalized on a handful of them. So I think in my mind, if I'm a senior and, I don't have many games left in my career, I'm going to be excited to play the next one. And I thought she played very well. She dominated in a lot of different areas this past weekend, and I'm sure we'll see some of the same things Saturday afternoon as we get ourselves going against Ohio State.
Without Sam Kogan in the lineup, Caitlin Schneider had a pretty good run this past weekend. Could you discuss her development a little bit?
Yeah, she played very well. We were talking it this morning in our meeting with the coaches. She brings speed. She wants to go get the puck, and obviously scored a nice goal, against St. Cloud. So it's nice when somebody gets an opportunity that maybe they haven't had as far as minutes as in a game, and certainly she took advantage of them this weekend. And depending on what we look like on Thursday and Friday, she may be called upon again to play the same type of role this upcoming weekend.
You had a couple main focuses last week in practice that you described as just what you need to do to score goals. After this weekend's performance, have those focuses changed at all?
Nope. It's going to be, try to create some opportunities, especially early in the game. And then, the big thing with us is to try to capitalize them. This past weekend, we were able to capitalize them. I thought the team focused in on some of the things that we had talked about earlier in the week. And then the big thing, both Friday and Saturday was your ability to go out and execute. And so it'll be very similar this week. We'll hone in on a couple of different things and then focus in on them Saturday and then try to go out and execute.
Mark, at times Ohio State can kind of go, it's kind of on the edge a little bit. It brings a physicality to the game that maybe fans don't always see. Is your team okay with handling that type of play, if you will?
Well, some of it probably has to do with the rink dimensions. So, you go down to Ohio State, it's a very compact, tight sheet, and, there's going to be contact. It's just not enough space there. There's a little bit more space, obviously, on our rink. But, some teams like to play on the edge. Some teams are, a little bit more physical than the others. And, depending on what the referee feels like that day, you might get some calls, you might not. But the big thing at this time of the year is, you have to play with discipline. And you never know if you're undisciplined and there's a call made and that power play capitalizes on a goal and that team wins because of it, that can cost you your season. So that's one of the focuses that we will have, and certainly this weekend is, you don't want to take any unnecessary penalties. You don't want to get yourself in a penalty-killed situation where it might cost you the season. So part of that is the discipline on the players. At this time of year, you walk away from stuff and forget about things and move on to the next face-off and get yourself ready for the next shift. But certainly we're looking forward to, the opportunity. I know the players will be excited about a chance to play Ohio State again, and it's going to be a good matchup. And hopefully we play our A game and we do some of the things that we did this past weekend.
Mark, a couple of months ago you were debating whether or not to redshirt Britta Curl. Where's her game evolved the most in your mind since the start of the season?
I think with a lot of freshmen is, being comfortable, and then, as I get more comfortable in my role, how's my confidence? And I think, certainly the second half of the season, her confidence has grown. Initially, we had talked about that as we were recruiting her. We decided early on, she's just too good to do that. And so, she started the season on our fourth line, in our first couple of weekends. And then, as she played and we saw her practice at this level, it just, her role expanded. She moved up on the line charts and got into power plays and, ended up scoring 20 goals for us. So I don't know who made that decision, but collectively as a coaching staff, it was a pretty good one.